Hello and welcome. My name is Ranjani Saigal, and it is my pleasure today to introduce you all to an artist and teacher all the way from San Jose, California. A fashion designer by profession, Nitasha Sahay is passionate about all forms of visual arts and believes art is a journey which purifies our soul, bringing beauty and, in some cases, changes in the society. She is the founder of Nitraj Arts, and as part of that, is a professional artist who also teaches children. We are so grateful that she now is an Ekal Indie Art Ambassador. Ekal Vidyalaya is an organization that brings education to over 3 million children living in rural, remote villages. And IndiArt is a competition that was created in the US to promote creativity amongst children in the US, while at the same time bringing digital literacy to rural India. Welcome to Lokvani, Nitasha ji. Namaste.
Thank you, Ranjani ji. My pleasure.
Thank you. It's really an honor to meet all of the ambassadors, of course, but fashion designer. I think that's wonderful. I mean, I think my sense of fashion really needs a lot of work. But I was going to say that in India, where everybody is becoming a doctor or an engineer, how did you choose to become a fashion designer?
Well, there is a story behind it. I would say it just happened that initially my dad is a doctor, my grandfather was a doctor, and of course they wanted me to be a doctor.
Of course.
But I was artistically inclined, but still I tried, I gave my best, and I did appear for the competition for medical, but I couldn't get through, unfortunately. And after that, I told my mom that, okay, I did what you guys wanted to do, but I wanted more of art in my life. So that's how fashion designing happened. And I am really grateful and thankful that my parents were supportive enough, because I come from a family of doctors and engineers and MBAs. I'm the only odd man out. So, but they were supportive enough, and that's how my fashion designing journey started. And
Right.
I did my fashion designing in Delhi
Yeah.
and worked as a designer and a merchandiser for a couple of years.
Couple of years. That's fantastic. I mean, I'm glad you didn't get through that medical school because you would have been one of million other doctors. I mean, we need doctors. Don't get me wrong, but not this unique artist that you have become. So I think that is really spectacular. Now, in India, where did you stay, and where did you learn? Did you learn art as a child?
So I was artistically inclined. I used to draw a lot, paint a lot, but I wouldn't say that I went for a formal training. I did a lot of pieces, one hanging in my living room at my parents' place still, but no, not really like an education in art. I grew up in a very small town called Kodarma in Jharkhand. So our focus was mostly on studies, math and science. Yeah, but yes, my mom and dad they wanted us to have an overall education. So we did go through, you know, dance class, music class,
Yeah.
but again, didn't see it all through,
Right.
because in India, I think, I don't know, maybe it's changing, but it's still more of, you as a kid,
Study.
you have to focus on math and science,
Math and science.
with where
But
I differ.
But
I mean,
interesting that you lived in a small town called Kodarma. I mean, was there a reason that you lived in such a remote place? And what was that experience like?
actually, my dad was a doctor, so as a government employee, his first posting was in Kodarma. And he was then posted in many places, many rural places around Kodarma, where he used to travel every day to work uh, in those villages. But it was kind of trying to find a balance where he could provide a stable life for his family where education was not impacted. So Koderma had a balance of that. We had good schools,
Yeah.
and at the same time, we didn't have to stay away from my dad,
Yeah.
and we could stay together as a family.
Yeah.
And he used to travel to those remote places
Wow.
on his bike every day
Wow.
to, I
Yeah.
mean, yeah.
This is the challenge. I mean, it's very interesting to hear you say that, because this is why Ekal Vidyalaya was started. That, government, employees, whether it is, doctors, teachers, and those that, first of all, our humble pronouns to your father that he took on government service. I mean, that's a very, very difficult, especially in rural areas, to go
Yes.
by, you said bike, because there's no road, right?
Well,
Like,
yeah, there was no road where we had a car, but he couldn't take his
take
car because
car.
there were no roads. He had to take his bike. And I must add that after I got married, my mother-in-law was a government school teacher,
Wow.
and she used to travel 30 kilometers by bus, those public buses, every single day.
Wow.
So
Wow.
because I mean,
Yeah.
again, the same thing. They wanted to stay in a town where they could provide education for their
Yes.
kids, but at the same time, she didn't want to just quit, and
Right.
she continued
That
going by the bus.
that is really interesting, because that's the thing that I think people often, I'm glad you brought it up. I mean, it was such a chance that you're saying that people don't understand how difficult it is. It's not easy for people to go live in these villages, right? I mean, because
Yeah,
you may be a
yeah,
very good and dedicated teacher like your mother-in-law was, a great doctor like your father is, and yet, I mean, even to get there to raise your child in a village is very difficult. And for your
yeah,
mother-in-law to travel 30 kilometers each way every single day, what
yeah,
dedication. And I think, this is the challenge that Ekal is trying to address, which is, can we take local people and train them to be teachers, train
yeah,
them to be, arogya sevikas, so that at least minimum help can come. And now with telehealth, hopefully we can connect to doctors like your father, so that,
I'm sorry, my dad passed away a couple of years ago. I mean, I still talk about him as if
yeah,
he's present, but
of course, yeah.
he's no more.
God bless. But I'm saying, there are such sincere, wonderful doctors that we can connect. I think that's
Yeah,
great.
yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Yes.
So now, from that rural area, here you are in San Jose, not so rural. From
Yes.
fashion designing, you have come into art. So tell us about that journey.
So after I got married, my husband and I moved to US. We were supposed to be here for a couple of months, and then we found out that our first baby is going to come. So we decided to stay, and I took that decision consciously to when she was born that I want to be a stay-at-home mom and take care of her. So that's how we were like, okay, let's stay for a little longer. And then when my second one was born, I was kind of getting a little overwhelmed with two small little kids. And so my husband could see, I used to paint and draw, and he knew that, of course, he knew that I am from fashion designing. And he could see that the kind of, I was relaxed, I was happy when I was painting or drawing. So he said, why don't you go out and do something with art? He knew that I needed an outlet, not just a shopping spree. I needed an outlet. So he was like, okay, please go out and do something in art for yourself. So I enrolled in a community center class, oil painting class. And I was just in love with oil painting. I was like, oh my God, this is so beautiful, so rich. And I had to learn about it. So from there to a couple of studios, a couple of online classes, a lot of self-learning. By self-learning, I mean reading whatever book I could get my hands on, and watching videos, whatever was accessible. That's how I started painting in oil and all the other mediums. But that's not how my professional career started. So when I lost my dad in 2016, it was very, very hard for me. And I just couldn't paint. I could do nothing. And at that point of time, my mom, she is the backbone of our family. She was in so much pain herself. Her pain was so much bigger than mine.
Of course, of
But
course.
she was pushing me that you should start painting because your dad was very proud of your painting, right?
Yeah.
You should start painting again. And my husband was like, that's your outlet. These were the two people who were pushing me to please start painting back again.
Yeah.
And now I feel that I started painting back to make my dad proud. I mean, wherever he is.
Sure, he is very, very, very proud.
Yeah, so that's how I started painting professionally, and God has been very kind. I got a couple of commissioned work. The one that is behind you is a commissioned work.
So tell me a little bit about that. How does one become a professional artist? I don't know. Like I know how to become an engineer, but you apply for a job and you get it, right?
It is I must tell you, it's a lot of work and
Yeah.
very hard to
How
reach
does
out.
how
And
does
but
like
this
how do you
happened
get a
because
commission?
I was
Yeah.
just talking to the, wherever going to school to drop my kids, and you talk around,
Yeah.
you know just talking, like, okay, what do you do, and this, and I would show them. I didn't have my website at that time either, and I would show them, oh, I paint, I like to paint, and this is how I paint. And they were like, oh, can you paint something for me? And that's how those commissions came.
Wow, wow. So did your like fashion merchandising experience, did that come in handy? Like how do you price a painting? How do you, those are all difficult questions, right? Like when somebody
Yes,
asks you to
I
commission.
mean, different artists have a different way of pricing their
Yeah.
paintings. I am like, it depends. Some people do it with the per square feet. Some people do how many hours you've put in.
Yeah.
I kind of do both
Yeah.
because I paint in indirect style. Indirect style is like in multiple layers.
Ah.
So it takes a very long time for me to complete my paintings. So
Ah.
and since I'm starting, so I it's not like that I can charge a lot. Maybe in the future, God willing.
Of course, of course, of course. So tell me about what is that? You said it's an indirect style. Is that what you call your?
Yes, so
Could you
indirect
tell us?
style is like, it's more like a Flemish style of painting. In the olden days, the old artists, they used to paint in this style before the impressionistic style came, where the artists used to go out and they were just painting impression. This is more realism, and they used to paint. So there'll be an underpainting in just one color, and then you build on the light and the dark on that painting, and
Ah.
then you put in colors.
Wow, that's fantastic. It's amazing. I've done so many of these interviews and I think I've heard them all. And then today, the first time I'm hearing the indirect painting style. It's just amazing how each artist is so unique and what has captured your imagination. It is this style. And to be honest, I love it. I really do. When I saw
Thank
this
you so
painting,
much.
I
Thank
was
you so
like,
much.
I see now, I see almost a three-dimensional effect a little bit that is coming through. Would you say this is very different from a 3D painting? Is that a different style you would call it?
Um, by 3D painting, do you mean adding the textures? Because
Yeah, yeah.
nowadays there are so many, there are no, so I do put in textures in the background in some of my paintings, and that's done with the modeling paste. But
Ah,
this one doesn't have, this is all just oil paint.
oil paint. So this is a way to bring out 3D effect
Yeah,
without textures. Yeah,
without
okay,
textures.
great. Wow, wow. Fantastic, really. And then you went from being a artist to a teacher. How did that happen?
Yeah, I mean, uh, God has a way to pave your journey.
Yeah.
So I was volunteering in my younger one's school, and unfortunately, my school district doesn't, because of budget cut, they didn't have an art teacher for lower grades, that is from kindergarten to third grade. So along with one more parent, I was volunteering and taking classes for these younger kids, and that's where I learned something new about myself, that I do enjoy teaching art. If it would have been on any other subject, I don't think so. But art was something I really enjoyed teaching. And And I feel that along with other subjects, there should be focus on art, visual art, or any kind of art. Each and every kid should have one kind of art in their life,
Hmm.
whether be it visual art or performing art, whatever. But there should be something, and especially for visual art, what I feel is it's just not something that okay you do in free time.
Yeah.
There are technical things behind it. You learn focus, you learn hand-eye coordination, you learn those fine motor skills, and the biggest thing is that you learn to empathize, you become sensitive
Oh,
for everything around you, nature. You kind of connect with your inner self, you know.
that is
That's how I feel.
That's amazing. I mean, actually, it's very interesting that you say that because even for many of the artists that I interviewed, their interest in art came because they learned art at school. It was the school teacher who saw that. And
Mhm.
would you say that today, I mean, like when I'm looking at the work, whether you're an engineer or a doctor or whatever else you do, visual arts have become part of it. Presentation. So I think even drama and acting and everything. I mean, it's all very important part of what you do. So I think more power to you to reinforce that message that people think of art as extracurricular, but I think especially in the
It is
younger
an
grades.
important part. Sorry, I'm cutting you
No,
off.
no, no, no. Go right ahead. Yeah,
I feel that it is an important part of a person's life, because when we work, after work, what do we want?
yeah.
We want to watch a movie. We want to listen to music. What do we decorate our house with? We want visual pieces to decorate our house that brings calm and happiness in our lives. So this is as much as you can say it's important part of our lives.
Yeah,
I
and
mean, when we'll be gone, the future generation will know us through these things.
you're exactly right. And I think just creativity, encouraging creativity in a child, and say you can paint anything and it's never wrong, then come up with
Never
beauty.
wrong. It's never not wrong.
Never
I
wrong.
keep telling my kids, sometimes I have little kids, right? So they'll say, oh, our painting doesn't look like yours. Keep telling them, I have been painting for a very long time. And you should be very proud of whatever you're creating,
Yeah,
because you've put your heart and soul in it. You've worked so hard on it. So
sure.
always be proud of whatever you are making.
Sure. Now, I completely agree with you. Actually, I am a dance teacher and I, trained and that even though I'm an engineer by profession, but I will see, the skills I learned, for presentation and other things, in addition to, of course, having fun as a dancer. I mean, that's a great thing to do. But to your point, you never bored and hence your mind is in your control. And I think that's the same thing, what you said, when you were depressed or when you had a, issue, art just comes and it controls your mind and this beauty
Yeah,
everywhere,
it's a way to it's like meditation.
Yeah.
It relaxes.
Yeah, every one of the artists has said this, and it's really interesting. And
And
in
it's the
fact,
truth. It's the truth.
it's interesting, right? All of you artists. I mean, I think being Indians, probably for many of you, it's been like a onion. It's just peeling away, and different circumstances have brought out, their ability to be, teacher or become full-time artist. Thank God for all your life circumstances. Some of them very difficult, and for you also it was, and many of the artists, I think art and pain, they go together. As Phoebe Shelley says, right? Our
I think,
sweetest songs are of our saddest thoughts, So,
yeah, it's like you are what your life experiences
yeah,
are, right? You
beautiful.
learn from those experiences and you grow as a person from those
Right.
experiences.
And actually, that's coming to indie art. I mean, I think that is the one thing we've been so proud of with this program that, in fact, we are giving children during COVID times, children and adults during COVID times, this opportunity to learn art, which
Yeah,
they would have never, thanks to people like you, Nitasha.
it's amazing. It's an honor. It's my honor to be part of this mission. I mean,
Yeah.
um, whatever angle you look at it, it's great. You are kind of helping kids in rural India to get that digital education, but at the same time, you are helping kids here, especially during summer vacation, to have something to look forward to, create and have fun. So many different artists. I mean, I'm amazed at the kind of group you've created, and so many wonderful artists. They each of them bring something different and new to the table, and it's an honor to be part of this mission.
Thank
I
you.
must.
And how did you get connected with it? And why Ekal for you?
So actually, I got connected. My friend in Boston, she told me about Sunanda ji's workshop, and mine is a realism, and I wanted to learn about folk art too. So I was like, oh yeah, sure, why not? And she was like, okay, I'll join from here, you join from there. And we joined, and I think Jharna saw that I'm sitting in a studio, and she asked me, are you in a studio? Are you an artist? So I told her yes. So she was like, okay, can I call you? I was like, yeah, sure, why not? And when she told me about the Ekal mission, why IndiArt is doing this, I was totally in. There was no doubt in my mind, because children issues or women issues, they're very close to my heart. So whatever I can do. And this is a very small thing, very, very small thing. It's like a molecule. So yeah.
Every boon se sagar banti hai, it is little droplets of water make the mighty ocean. So I think that is fantastic. We will take you up on that. We are going to connect with you, and Ekal has that, and about rural India, you understand the challenges. So
oh yes,
I think
it's
that was
very different. People who've not been in those rural areas, they might not understand what the challenges those people face. I mean, going into the have electricity, and even if you have electricity 12 hours, there's no electricity.
right.
And teaching over there and getting digital education to those remote places, I mean, hats off.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, kudos to you guys.
Thank you. No, kudos to us all. You are part of the movement now, so no, thank you for that. And thank you for bringing that perspective, that the teacher, otherwise from the city has to travel 30 kilometers. What in very hot, very, rainy times. Can you imagine that? And the children coming there. So it is really not a trivial joke. Now tell me more, what advice, I think you are going to be doing a workshop. So I'd love
Yes.
to learn about that. And what advice do you give young people or not so young people who may want to take up art as a career? You did it not being a doctor. Every Indian American also says their child should be a doctor. I don't know what you will say. You tell your daughters, but
I, I have two daughters, and I keep telling them that you should do what you are passionate about, and at the same time, it should give you a lifestyle too. I wouldn't lie. Okay, you have to have a balance. My mantra is that you have to have balance in life. Both things are important.
that's
Balance.
and
Yeah.
tell us about the workshop.
By workshop, we are going to paint daisies, flowers which bring joy to every single person. So we are going. So it's like why I chose daisies was, let's hang on to summer for a little longer. Fall is almost here. So yeah, daisies. We are going to paint daisies in acrylic.
That's fantastic. I was like, you are our grand finale of the workshops that we have had. We have traveled wide, far and wide, and bringing together with a bouquet of daisies. I think that'll be a beautiful offering for IndiArt as the grand finale. So I look forward to that. And really, you already have given me so much joy just with the painting here, as my backdrop. It's just so beautiful. And like you
You're
said,
very
I think
kind.
I think you said it right. The flowers, they are temporary, but the art is forever. So I think capturing the essence of that on canvas or on oil, all of that is just so special. So thank you for taking on art and not becoming a doctor. And thanks for continuing it in San Jose. So, really appreciate that. And I look forward to your active participation in Ekal, because you do understand what the rural areas, the challenges that.
Yeah, sure. I'm all in.
Thank you so much for your time. Namaste.
Thank you, Ranjani ji. Thank you so much.